The All Black Sevens fall agonisingly short of gold, with fabulous Fiji dazzling their way to the top of the podium. Brooke Donoghue and Hannah Osborne repay the faith as New Zealand rowing's big gamble pays off. And it's no goals, no problem as the Ollie Whites make history in Tokyo. Welcome to Focus Sport. This is the Olympics News Wrap. Kia ora, I'm Sherry Kinnear, and not only has New Zealand claimed 2 more medals at the Tokyo Games, but a number of Kiwis made history. So let's take a look at how it all unfolded on day 6. Well, it's not the colour they wanted, but the All Black Sevens are Olympic silver medalists after being trounced by Fiji in last night's final. The Kiwis were up against it from the first minute, conceding 2 quick tries to go 17-12 down at the break. They struggled against the relentless Fijian attack in the second half, eventually succumbing 27-12 in a rather one-sided affair. To rowing, and while they have only been racing together for 4 months, Brooke Donoghue and Hannah Osborne doubled New Zealand's medal tally yesterday with their second place in the women's double sculls. The pair joined forces after world champion Olivia Lowe swapped seats for the women's quad following the Olympic trials, a risky move by all accounts. But yesterday they followed up Hayden Wild's triathlon bronze with a stunning silver, and they could hardly contain their emotions when quizzed on what it meant. We could see more rowing medals as early as this afternoon, with women's pair Grace Prendergast and Kerry Gowler setting a new world record in their semi-final. Meanwhile, Hamish Bond and the men's 8 also progressed after winning their repechage, and we'll have more on the rowing later in the show with 2-time Olympic champion Eric Murray. The Ollie Whites campaign has so far had it all: a shock win over South Korea, capitulation against Honduras, and now a first ever spot in the Olympic knockout round after last night's goalless draw against Romania. The Kiwis couldn't break the deadlock but advanced to the quarterfinals as runner-up behind the Koreans in Group B, and they'll next face one of the world's football's powerhouses, Japan, France or Mexico. In other results, Kiwi tennis doubles pair Michael Venus and Marcus Daniel have set themselves up for a shot at the podium after claiming an upset win in the quarterfinal clash with third-seeded Colombia. In sailing, Paul Snow-Hansen and Daniel Wilcox made a strong start in the men's 470, finishing the day second overall after 2 races. Peter Burling and Blair Tuke recovered well to sit 5th overall in the 49er, while Josh Jr. is 8th in the Finn class. And Lewis Klebert produced a spectacular freestyle leg to power into the semi-finals of the 200-metre individual medley. In international news, US gymnast Simone Biles turned the Games on its head last night after revealing she would not defend her Olympics title. She withdrew herself from the all-round event to focus on her mental health, a day after pulling out of the women's team final. Elsewhere, 2 big medal favourites had to see their Olympic dreams sink after a dramatic moment on the water. A mistake by Norwegian rowers Christopher Brun and Ari Strandli in their semi-final saw the Rio bronze medalists capsize. The pair, who were in second place with 500 metres to go, had to be plucked from the water by lifeguards, but fortunately escaped uninjured. And another blow for Aussie tennis star Ash Barty. She and her partner Storm Sanders were knocked out of the women's doubles. Well, taking a look at the medals table, the United States stay at the top with 11 golds, 11 silvers and 9 bronze medals, a pretty good effort there. Aussie are in 5th place, and New Zealand have moved up in the rankings with our 2 silvers to place a healthy 19th. Looking at today's schedule, make sure you catch Kerry Gowler and Grace Prendergast when they race for gold at 12:30. Emma Twigg follows in her semi-final after impressive results earlier in the week. Our Blackburn Sevens are in action, first up against Kenya, and our tennis duo Michael Venus and Marcus Daniel, they play their semis match at 6 o'clock. Now, someone who would have seen and done it all in his illustrious rowing career is Eric Murray, who joins me now. Thanks so much for your time, Eric. We'll start with that silver medal. How stoked were you watching that race?
Yeah, the first medal is always one of the best because it really gives the team a bit of spirit because we work with each other so much in terms of comparing our times, our percentages as close to world records. And what we saw today was some fabulous racing that was very, very fast. And of course, if one of your teammates or squad mates, should we say, is winning medals, then it is really good for the other teams. And I think we saw that the double obviously get that silver, the women's pair winning and setting a world best time, and then also the men's 8. Now the conditions did get very, very tricky. I was watching just going, man, I thought it would have been touch and go whether or not they were going to postpone it for a little bit longer. But ultimately it must have been a fair course. So everybody had the same conditions. Did look very brutal, but at the same time, coming down for that first medal to tick that off, it is one of the 4 that I've got picked. So it'll be really awesome to see what happens in the coming days.
You mentioned the women's pair there, Grace and Kerry. They've been on a great run so far. Is it too soon to say that gold is in the bag?
It's always too soon to say that gold medal's in the bag. You know, we had every man and his dog saying that we're going to win, we should win. But the fact of the matter is that we actually saw some really tricky conditions and they came down the course very well. They looked calm and controlled. And yes, they set a new world best time, which is an amazing feat. But at the same time, you could see that it was a bit of a struggle in that second part of the course. You know, the water was getting very, very tricky. And so ultimately, when we come to the racing in the finals, you know, this is just one step going forward. They really have to make sure that going into the final, they've got it on point. They know exactly what they're going to do. And they've also, at the same time, they have been standout, but there's no reason why some of these other crews who are more desperate, I would say, than the Kiwis, will do something to probably try and upset them, go out very fast. And if we turn to a side wind condition or a headwind condition, can actually make it a little bit more tricky to row. So as we saw today, conditions can come into effect quite dramatically. We saw a lot of medalists missing out in the final stages by rowing very badly and not handling the water. So it really is just going to come down to that preparation.
Yeah, some exciting things to come. And even in our men's 8, they're back in it now as well.
Honestly, I've got my fingers crossed. I'm going to be yelling at the screen. I feel that they have the potential to win. If they get in the rhythm, they do it properly, they could win a medal. Hey, man, how good would it be if both our men's and women's 8s won? That would be history making.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for your time, Eric. So great to hear from you. Now, if you want to keep up with how our rowers and other athletes are going, remember the New Zealand Herald has you covered with our live blog, real-time Kiwi Games tracker and interactive schedule. Meanwhile, News Talk ZB will bring you live commentary of key events and expert analysis on the DRS and Sports Talk. Well, that's all from me. I'll be back tomorrow to wrap all the news from Day 7. I'm Cherie Kinnear for Focus Sport.